Welcome back to Claim Your Creative Voice. I'm Lindsey Kirkendall, and this is my good friend,
Leslie Garbis. Happy to be here.
We're so excited to be here with you guys. We've been talking a ton about intention, and we wanted to wrap up this series by talking specifically about intention when it comes to business and building a career as an artist or a creative. So we were just talking a ton about intention setting and the way that Leslie shows up with intention for and with her clients, and some of the things that she's been seeing with her vocal clients and how they may or may not have intention that they bring to a session. And I love, this is why Leslie and I are so aligned, is because one of the things that we've noticed, it doesn't matter if they're coming to Leslie for vocal help or if they're coming to me for business and career advice, it's that there's often a lack of maybe intention or understanding around why to have intention, maybe.
Right, clarity would be another word.
Clarity, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that was a little bit of a roundabout way of saying it. The intention to, I don't even know.
Yeah. You're there.
You get it.
We get it.
You're with me.
Yes.
But basically, one of the things that I've found as so fundamentally paradigm shifting when I work with clients is them actually paying money to do something, which sounds like maybe counterintuitive, or maybe it's just not something that you've ever really considered. But if you are someone who has ever hired a coach or a business consultant or invested in voice lessons or done anything where you've invested a significant amount of money, not for an end product like a record or a song to be produced, but something where you knew you were going to be doing some like ongoing, maybe deeper work with somebody, partnering with you, being on your team, helping you to grow your empire. If you have done that, you probably understand the shift that happened internally. If you haven't done it, I'm here to tell you, it's really one of the most profound and fundamental pieces to success. Because what happens when, and I've seen this so many times and I'm sure you have too, what happens when you are investing or choosing to invest in yourself in a way that you haven't before, and that doesn't necessarily mean big money, it just means that it's a new, maybe it's for the first time, like you were saying, a lot of artists that are gigging regularly have never taken a voice lesson. Mm-hmm. I heard on a Facebook Live the other day someone using the term dancing with new dance steps. Like you're dancing the same dance, but you're using a new set of steps. So
I like that.
You're doing something different. You're maybe investing like into a program or something that's a little pricier and it kind of makes you feel a little bit nervous, or you're trying something like investing into a new vocal coach when you've never had vocal lessons before. And there's a huge shift that happens internally when we decide to spend money on or spend time on doing something that's going to propel our business forward. And namely, it's because what we're saying to God, the universe, what have you, is that I am worthy of receiving the things that I desire. I'm worthy of having a career. I believe I deserve to have a career. Because if you didn't believe it, then you wouldn't be investing in it. And so one of the things I've always found was really interesting, I could sniff it like a bloodhound a mile away with an artist if I was ever on like a strategy call and they'd wanted to talk to me because they were interested in learning how I might be able to help them or how we can work together. And I can sense by the way that they conduct themselves in the conversation whether or not they will move forward as a client. Because I can sense where they're at in terms of their belief, in terms of their ability to connect to the idea that they deserve to be doing this. And sometimes, like I'm sure you've seen it too, sometimes it's because there wasn't a supportive environment growing up, or there isn't currently in the friend group or family or relationship that they're in, and so they're internalizing a lot of other people's beliefs around whether or not they should or could.
Limiting beliefs.
Yeah, there's so many pieces that make up how we perceive our ability to do something. But what's most important is knowing that you can believe all day long, and this was a huge lesson for me in my life, I can believe all day long that I deserve to have fill in the blank. But if I'm not behaving in a
In
way,
that manner,
then I don't actually believe it.
mm-hmm.
So I've come across artists time and time again. I'd be curious if this is true for you.
Mm-hmm.
Come across artists time and time again that can say all day long, I believe that I'm good enough. I believe that I'm good enough. I believe I can be sold out Madison Square Garden, you know? But they won't invest in themselves. They won't do the necessary things. Like they're just waiting for a handout. I don't know exactly what it is.
I'm going to piggyback with this one. What about the singer who's like, I'm so dedicated to strengthening my voice. I keep hurting myself. I keep losing my voice. I keep getting hoarse, whatever. You give them everything they need in the form of, you know, even like speech therapy exercises and very simple healing. We're moving forward, we're growing, we're healing, and then we're growing the voice carefully. Like you give them literally a daily protocol.
Yeah.
But they have to do the work. You can't do it for them.
Right.
But their words and their actions are in total opposition because
Totally.
then the next time you see them, you're like, how are you feeling? You know, how's your practice coming?
Yeah.
They're not practicing.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just kind of slipshod like one day maybe since you know saw them 2 weeks ago. You know? And so the voice,
The stars aligned, so I practiced.
yeah, the voice isn't amazing,
Right.
you know, but
Yeah.
there's a disconnect there between words and action, or you could say words and energy. Energy
Yes.
expended, energy.
Is energy returned?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Energy invested, time. That
Yeah.
takes time and intent
It does.
to practice, for instance.
Right.
So in what
And
you
it
said,
takes
yes,
time.
I do see that. There's one of the ways I see that.
Exactly. And it takes time and intent to grow a business. As entrepreneurs, as creatives, and as artists, we are growing our businesses. We don't just show up and sing a song and have a career and have scads of raving fans throwing money at us. We have to often learn a new set of skills in order to be successful. But you have to first set the intention that you are deserving and worthy of it with your behavior, whether that is, like I said, choosing to do something different with your time, like working with a vocal coach or a live performance coach or something else that's going to help you build your business in a way that ultimately returns. Or if it's just investing into a coaching or a consulting program, if it's hiring, you know, someone else onto your team to help take some of the workload off, because, you know, I've seen it so many times where artists are juggling all of the balls and they're being their own social media manager and their own booking agent and all of these things, but they feel like they can't afford to hire someone. And I'm like, look, you can always make more money, you cannot make more time.
Right.
And we're not getting into the business of being artists or creatives to be our own social media managers. There has to come a time where even if it doesn't look or feel like we have all of the resources financially to do it, there becomes a time where you intend it and move out in faith.
Find a way.
And you find a way.
Find a way.
I have this quote that I've loved. It's not a quote, but it's just an idea that floats around the business world quite often, is so many people go, I can't afford that. I can't afford that. I want it really bad. I really feel like it would help me, but I can't afford it. And rather than saying, I can't afford it, how can we say, how can I make this work?
That's right. What's the solution?
Because if you really do believe and you really do intend to have a career that is successful and thriving, and you believe that you deserve a life that is worthy of what you desire, then you have to also logically believe that there is a way for you to get the things that you need to expand into the life that you want to have.
Yes.
Or to grow your business or grow your artistry or whatever.
Yes, and it can start, it can start smaller. It can start smaller and grow. Like you were saying earlier, we were talking a little bit about the expansion, about how
the expansion spiral.
Yeah, about how just, okay, I'm gonna hire a consultant to just work with me 5 hours a week, and I'm going to commit to taking 2 voice lessons a month. But then you had said earlier, do you remember what you said when we were setting up for this one and we were talking about the expansion?
Yeah.
What was the example you gave?
I was saying that it was so interesting to me because what we were talking about in our last episode was a lot of the work that Leslie finds with her clients is helping, or what she finds, I guess that's not a great way to say it, but a lot of the work that you do is helping to ask questions. Why are you doing this? What is the intention? Why are you singing? Do you like singing?
How does it feel?
When you perform, why are you performing? Why this particular gig? Why this particular song? And so I love that because it's so congruent with the way I show up for my clients as well, and saying, why are you doing this? Why do you want to be an artist? What kind of life do you really want? Why do you say that you want sync licensing as a stream of revenue? Is it because that's the only way you think you can make money? So when you start with that why, especially from like a performance standpoint, and you start to understand why you're doing what you're doing, it creates, in Leslie's case, working with artists, it creates a deeper connection to the song, which ultimately results in a deeper connection to the audience in the gig and in the performance. And if you're not connected to your song, you're not going to connect to your audience. And if you're not connecting to your audience, guess what? They're not buying your shit at the end of the night. So the reality is that most artists that I've seen and experienced and work with, they might, whether we work together or not, most of them still have a little bit of fear around investing into themselves because it's scary. It's scary for everybody. If we've never done it before, like our brains are constantly trying to keep us safe. Yeah. And if we think we're safe by saving and not spending, then we're not ever going to expand into the next thing. And so understanding that there's a much more expansive way to view investing into yourself and an expansive way to view intention. Because if you are, again, intending that I am going to invest and this is going to come back to me threefold or fivefold or whatever, helping to understand that spiral is a huge piece of feeling more solid and rooted in your intention too. Mm-hmm. Because you can see it from like a 30,000 foot view and you can go, okay, if I intend to grow a career that's successful, then this investment is not just going to, I'm not just going to like say, oh, this investment's going to come back to me threefold. Because I know that's like a lot of spiritual bypass that happens sometimes. Like we just say shit. I've been guilty of it myself. Like I'm going to manifest $100,000 by the end of the year, and it's like, okay. And we talked about this in the last episode too. There's some things that we can do, and then there's some things that we have to leave up to the universe to provide. Yeah. So there's a fun little balance that we're walking, because we can't necessarily say, like, yes, I'm just going to manifest $100,000 out of the sky, and not at least have some of the understanding of how, but also being willing to give over the how at the same time.
Yeah, that is an interesting balance.
It's an interesting balance, because for me, being able to understand, like what we just talked about, that intention spiral is I'm intending to invest here, knowing that it's going to create this result, and that result then, it's like a domino effect,
It's a ripple effect for sure.
And that's how it comes back. It doesn't mean that it will always come back that way, but having some of that understanding can really help root you into, or help you feel rooted into your intentions.
Yeah, so that foundation is, on the micro, it's self. Okay, self, I am worth this.
Yeah.
Self, what do I want?
Yeah.
Okay, am I clear on that? Okay, why? All that work. And then, like as a singer, then you go, okay, well, I'm going to get to know my instrument better. I'm going to really love on my instrument, really love, the act of singing, and be more clear about why I do it, and then out into the song, and then out into the performance, and then out into the world. To the world, exactly. And then that feedback, being, we get energy back. We totally get energy back. But the energy can be so easily sort of misdirected or just sort of scattered, and then it's not really finding that focus and finding that domino effect without that first intentional piece. That first intentional piece that is really about self-love, self-knowledge, self-growth,
and self-worth.
And self-worth.
And so I would say to those artists that are watching, if you are struggling with investing in yourself on whatever level that looks like for you, if you're caught in the I can't afford it spiral and you're not thinking expansively, so if your thoughts are erring on I can't afford that versus how can I make this work, understand that what's actually happening at a deeper level is that there's something that is not rooted in a higher level of self-worth. And for me, and I don't know if this is true for you, but I've found in my own life, if I don't heal that place of self-worth, I can never will myself hard enough to get into the place of, okay, I'm gonna invest, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna, whatever the actual action is that I need to take to get to the next level in my life. I can't will that. I don't have enough willpower to like bypass the fact that I don't, at the gut level, believe I'm worthy of whatever it is that I'm reaching for.
Right. So asking questions about limiting beliefs, and this could be a whole other episode in my opinion. So let's remember that. I feel like we should do that. So asking questions around your limiting beliefs and trying to heal that and feel it. Feel it. Don't just try to bypass it. Feel it. Ask questions around it, figure out where it came from, doesn't even belong to you, heal that shit. It doesn't happen overnight, but it doesn't have to be a super lengthy process.
No,
I'm not saying it's one or the other, but without that, then
it's hard.
It's hard.
And
it's very hard. And then also there's that mindset piece that what you focus on grows. So if you tend to focus on problems versus solutions, then that's another piece that can be a little more, well, it's not easy, but can be shifted if you just stop yourself, because going, I can't afford that, is very different than saying, how can I figure this out? I want that. What's the solution here? How can I get creative?
I have a coach that said to me one time, and I loved this, she would say, if you had a gun to your head, it's a little macabre, but whatever. Yeah. If you had a gun to your head,
you'd figure it out,
and you had to figure out how to get to the Bahamas in 24 hours, you'd find a way.
Yeah, you'd figure it out. And that seems crazy.
Yeah.
But
you know that like you have the divine inspiration, the ability, the capability to figure everything is figured out.
Capability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so again, like going back to the idea of if this is something, if you're at a place where you feel like you want to do something new to expand your career, really looking at that and asking questions like what's happening for me? What's the story that I'm telling myself on a deeper level when I say I can't afford that, or I don't have the time for that, or I'm too busy, or my kids are too small. I've heard that one too. Like, oh, my kids are, and that's a legit thing. I mean, there are seasons where you have to put parenting first.
Very, very needed.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it also can become a crutch too.
It can.
So it's just knowing like what's the story that we're telling ourselves, and what is our intention? Is our intention to die with our songs inside of us?
And what? I hope not. And what about what's the story versus what's the truth?
Yeah. Yeah.
The story isn't usually the truth.
Right.
The story is the story.
Yeah.
It's full of limiting beliefs, full of excuses, full of ways to keep us from shining our light, full of ways to keep us quote unquote safe, and keep us down, and keep us from being our fullest, biggest, most shiny selves.
Yeah.
So,
and I think for most artists, we came into this world intending to do great things for the world.
Yeah.
That was like speaking in terms of like greatest truth. I think that most artists, that's what they want. They want to be connected. We said that in another episode.
Yeah.
They want to be connected. We want to truly make a difference and do something great.
Yeah, that piece of contribution.
Yeah.
If you can find that piece of contribution, instead of being worried about how you're sounding, in the song you just recorded, and are you sounding perfect and this, that, and the other. Find instead that deeper place of contribution. I think it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Because it's not only contribution to the greater of humanity, which hopefully you can help move some people, with your art. It's contribution to self.
Absolutely.
But in the way that's soulful and true.
Yeah. And in alignment, so it's not self-aggrandizement, Is that the right term?
I believe so.
It's not navel-gazing for like navel-gazing's sake. It's like the kind of what was the word that you used?
Self-contribution?
Self-contribution that actually goes back. It's cyclical.
That's right.
It goes back out to the world.
Goes out. Goes in, goes out.
Yeah, and
divine light comes to and through.
Yeah, or karma, I guess, is a good way to think about it too. So yeah, I think that is just one of the most important pieces, is just understanding, what is this story that we're telling ourselves? What is it rooted in? What truly is my intention as an artist, as a creative, as a human in the world?
And it could be that your story is completely blocking your intention.
Yeah, or is contrary to it. So that's I would even, if you're listening and you need a little something today, I would journal on that. Like, is my story blocking my contribution? Yeah. What do I want to contribute to the world? What is, if there were no constructs of time or money or circumstance,
if you weren't even getting paid for it, what would you still,
what would you want to contribute?
In total alignment to contribute that would fill you up and also have plenty to spare to contribute to others?
Yeah. And then what is blocking that for you? What's potentially the story or the environment that is creating a blockade for you to get to that place? And maybe it's just simply a lack of knowledge and you need to get some more education. Maybe it really is rooted in a self-worth story, because not for everybody. Man, words are evading me today. But it's not true for everybody that we're all rooted in a self-worth thing. It could just be like, I know what I need, I just haven't gotten the necessary education yet. So it's just maybe finding the right resources. And then beyond that is, okay, what am I going to do about it? What is the next right step? I love that idea.
I love next right
step.
What's
the next right thing that I need to do to move closer to being in alignment with the contribution that I came here to offer the world?
Yeah, so it doesn't get so overwhelming.
Right.
Next right step.
Yeah.
Next right step.
Yep. So, and I've got a lot of great resources on helping artists understand, like, why they're doing this. Who are they? What is the message that they want to share with the world? So if that's something that you really feel like you're interested in discovering, I would love to share that with you. You can absolutely connect with me via the link below. But I think that, like, ultimately, going back to the idea of intention, ultimately, us as artists, we are here to do amazing things for the world. Mm-hmm. We really are the healers. Like, don't tell the physicians that I said that, but it's kind of true. Like, medicine's great, it's great, it has its place.
Yeah, but there's medicine and so many other things other than pharmaceuticals. Right, and we don't medicine
really,
in our hearts and in our contributions, and
we just don't. We've been so westernized that we don't often value the medicine that is in the other things to the same degree that we value, I was going to say, vaccinations, because that feels very on the forefront right now with what's going on in the world. Yeah. But it's true. It is true. Like, we really have a profound human service in the world as artists and creatives. Art heals. It moves people. It inspires people. It does really, really important things in the world. And so if you feel like this is what you're here to do, you're not wrong. Like, if you're feeling called towards it, you're not wrong. It doesn't matter how perceived good you are or the perception of your level of talent. It's about you being true to the thing that was placed in your heart from the very beginning, and intending to steward that and to honor that and to continue to take the next right steps to move towards that, so you're more and more and more and more in alignment with whatever that is. And so I want to leave you with that today. It's just,
love it.
Your intention is to be in alignment with who you are. And when you do make decisions about how to get more in alignment with who you are, understand that you can bring a whole hell of a lot of intention to those decisions. So if you're feeling scared about hiring a business consultant, if you're feeling scared about creating time in your space to get help with vocal lessons or anything else, doesn't have to be, the things that we bring to the world, but you can set your intention that they will produce results for you. You are that powerful. So.
Ooh, I think that we should do You Are That Powerful.
You are that powerful, bitch.
How about a cup of that?